Hey, what's going on guys? In this tutorial I'm going to walk you through how to use the drawing creation kit for Photoshop. And what this kit will allow you to do is create artwork such as this. So the download includes a Photoshop action which will create a overall sketch look to your photos. It also includes a pack of high resolution technical drawing brushes, so you can see how I've applied some of them down here and up the top there. It also includes a pack of shadow overlays which you can drop over your design to add a bit more detail. So I'll show you a couple more examples of the effect and then we'll go into Photoshop. Alright, if you want to see more examples, just check out the link below and let's jump into Photoshop. If you want to follow along this tutorial, I've provided a link to this photo below. So when you've opened up your image, the first thing you want to check is the size of it. So if you go to Image, Image Size. Now it's very important that you take the shortest length, whether it's the width or the height, and increase it or decrease it to anywhere between say 4,000 to 5,000 pixels. So let's just say I've opened up this photo and the height is 2,500. I would take this and increase this to say 4,500. You can of course use high resolution images if you like, but I've really optimized this result to work the best in that pixel range. So I'm going to cancel that because it's already set up. Next, what we need to do is load the patterns that were included in the download. Now this is very important because the action basically won't work at all if not loaded into Photoshop. So the quickest way to load the patterns is just go to File, Open, or Control or Command O. Navigate to the folder that says Patterns must be loaded into Photoshop, and just double click on that pattern file. Okay. Now if you're using Photoshop 2020, you can just go to Window, Patterns, and you'll see they're in a folder here. For other versions of Photoshop, you can navigate to your paint bucket tool or hit G on the keyboard, so mine's here. Alright, now if this is set to foreground, you can switch that to pattern. Click on this icon and you can see the patterns loaded here. You can also load the patterns this way. Click on this gear icon and go to Import Patterns or Load Patterns. You'll also notice that there are brushes included in the download, so I'll just navigate back to here. These don't need to be loaded into Photoshop for the action to work. These are to use after the action has finished playing back, so I'll cover that shortly. So now what we need to do is load the action. So if you go to Window, Actions, your panel will probably pop up somewhere over this side. If you click on this icon, you want to click Load Actions. Double click on the Drawing by 7styles.atn file and the action will appear in this folder here. So if you twirl open this folder, there's a bunch of different actions here. So all of these you don't need to touch, okay? It's really these three that we're going to use. This Create Color Reveal layer, I'll go over that, but basically you run that action after the action's finished playing back. So these are the two that you're interested in. So this one, Drawing Mixed Sketch Style and a Crosshatch Style. So there's two different styles here, but the reality is, like after the action's finished playing back, you can create lots of different styles. So I've just created this one preset here, just an example of the different type of effect you can get with playing around with different sketch textures. So all you need to do is, once you've loaded the action, is select it and then click play. Now the action is probably going to take around 3 minutes to play back, and so I'll fast forward it to the result and then we'll go through all the layers. Alright, the action's finished and this is the default action result. So I'm going to zoom in here. You can hold down Control-Alt-0 or Command-Option-0, zoom all the way in. Tab to hide all the panels. So here's some of the detail here. Now all these textures can be replaced, scaled. There's a lot you can do. So we'll jump into the layer panel now. Control-0 or Command-0 to zoom all the way out. I'll hit Tab again to bring the panels back. So I'm just going to hide the actions panel for the moment. We'll come back to this one here. This will show you how to add some color to your design. So let's collapse that. Now the first thing you want to do, and I always recommend you do this after you play any Photoshop action, is to collapse all the folders that are open. So the drawing folder should already be selected. Hold down Control-Alt or Command-Option, click on this arrow, release the keys and then reopen the folder and everything is collapsed. So I'm going to jump around the layer order a bit here, and what I might actually do is, let's zoom in a bit. Let's turn off everything except a few layers here. We'll just go one by one. So I've broken this down into two main folders. We have the light area sketch patterns, so I'll click on that. So what you can see in the brighter areas of your image, we've got different sketch patterns which we can replace, scale, do what we want there. And we also have the shadow area sketch patterns. So if I click on that, that will then fill in the remaining shadow dark areas of your photo with more patterns. So if we go inside the light area sketch patterns for the moment, let's check that out. So there's 6 different layers. So pattern 1, and I've got in brackets highlights here. So if I turn this on and off, you can see that this was the brightest point of this photo, and it's applied a pattern in that region. So to adjust these patterns, all you need to do is double click on the layer, and then go to pattern overlay. It'll already be selected. Okay, now if you click on this box here, it'll bring up the patterns that you imported into Photoshop. So if you want to see these as large icons, click on this icon and make sure you select large thumbnail. So this way you can see what you're applying. So all you need to do, if you want to change this texture, you can just click around and experiment with different textures. So at the top here, there's like a lot of different crosshatch effects. There's a lot of different angled lines here. Sort of mixed angles down the bottom here you can experiment with. So I'll just cancel that for the moment. Actually, I'll cancel that. I'll go back into it so we can keep this line pattern here. What you can also do is adjust the scale. So you can use this slider here. So I can drag this to left and right. Okay, now all these are seamless textures that I created, and I created them really big. So you can scale this up. So that is at 100% right there. Okay, so that's the resolution that I created that texture at. So, and this is a high resolution photo as well. So you can, experiment with that. So that's the setup with all of these. So as you go down, so this is the darker areas of your image. So you can see it, I've applied a darker pattern there. Now what you can also do is duplicate these layers. So I can hit Control or Command J to duplicate that, or I can hold down Alt or Option and just drag it up. So I can duplicate it that way. So let's say I wanted to create more of like a crosshatch pattern in this dark area. What I can do, I'll turn that back on. I now just double click on this layer, go back to the pattern overlay, and then choose a different angled pattern. Alright, so if I scale this up and down, you can see that there. So there's a lot of flexibility here with how you want to apply the textures. So now is probably a good time to import the brushes that were included in the download, because let's say that, zoom out here, let's say I don't want this this section of texture down here. I want to mask this away. So you'll notice that every layer I've applied a mask. So this allows you to control if you want that part of the layer visible or not. So if I hit B, and if I just choose a soft brush here, and I select the mask, so if I brush black into this mask, it will hide elements of that layer, white will reveal it. So you can hit X on your keyboard to flip between black and white. So if I brush with a soft brush there and zoom in, you'll see that it kind of doesn't look that natural, okay, that blend there. I want it to look a bit more gritty, so I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to hit B on the keyboard. I'm going to right click, and I want to import the brushes. So I'll click on this icon, select import brushes or load brushes, navigate to the brushes folder, and there's 4 sets of brushes here. So I'll import them all just quickly. So, and I'll explain what all these brushes do. Alright, so I've got this folder here called Mask Reveal Brushes, and I've designed these specifically to use when brushing into these masks. So you can see there's a few different textures here. So let's just say I'll grab this one here. So it's more of like a crosshatch brush. So I'll select the mask, hit B. Now when I start brushing black, you'll notice that we get some organic looking texture here. It's much better than using a soft round brush. So whenever brushing these masks, I recommend just jumping into this Mask Reveal Brushes folder and selecting one of those. Alright, so let's just brush that away. Alright, so let's keep moving up. So this folder here, Shadow Area Sketch Patterns, let's turn that on and take a look. So a similar setup to this folder below. Well, there's 7 different layers here. By default, number 1 is turned off. So number 1's a bit more of an aggressive, kind of like an outline around sort of the detailed areas in your photo. Shadow Area 1 and Shadow Area 3 is similar in that way. So I just thought that by default having both applied would be a bit aggressive, but you can turn them on if you want. Now, these layers apply textures to different tonal ranges in your photo. So let's just turn all these off. I'll zoom back out. So sometimes they might not apply any texture to that region at all because there might not be that tonal range visible in your photo. So you can see that one there. The bottom one here applies it to the darkest areas of your image. So let's just go up. I'll turn them on one by one. And again, the cool thing with this is that firstly, you don't need to use them all. So you can be creative. You can turn off a couple, and you can also double click and then once again just change the pattern. So I can click on this and apply different patterns, which is really cool. This one here will apply just like a general, if I zoom all the way in here, and I'll increase the opacity of this later 100%. So this will apply more of like a rough sketch texture over the darker regions of your image. So zoom out. So I'll turn it on and off so you can see that there. So by default, that's set at 50% opacity and it's off. So you can experiment with that one. Another cool thing I mentioned with the sketch patterns is you can actually brush on anywhere in your photo where you want sketch patterns to appear. So for example, let's say down this right hand side here, I want some lines going in the opposite direction. So how would I do that? I would just click anywhere and create a new layer. So Control Shift N or Command Shift N, create a new layer. I'll just move this outside this folder for the moment. And what I'll do, I'll hit B and I'll just grab a brush here. So let's just grab this one and I'll just make this black. So let's say I want to add this texture along the side here. Okay, so what you need to do after you've brushed on the general area where you want the texture to appear, you need to set the fill to 0%. So click on fill here, drag it to 0%. Now what you can do is double click on the layer, click on this over here, pattern overlay, and now you can choose any pattern, which is really cool. But what you also need to do here is, let's just pick this one, so you can see how it's not properly blending with the texture below. You need to set the blend mode to multiply, so this way it will remove white from the texture. So you can see all the white there, it will remove that and just keep the darker tones of that texture. So now I can click around here, click OK there. So now what I can do, I can brush anywhere over my photo. So let's say I wanted that texture to appear here as well. I'll just start brushing over here or down here. So it's really cool. And of course you can apply a mask. So I'll click on this mask icon here and I can brush away. Say if I change my mind, I don't want that up there. I hit X a few times, make sure black is active, and I can just brush that away. Brush it back with white. So tons of flexibility there as well. Alright, let's keep moving up here. So black edge lines. By default, so let's go inside here. By default, none of these layers are turned on. Right, I'll just turn them all on just to exaggerate this for a moment. So you can see that it adds a lot of edge outlines around your photo. So each one adds edge lines, adds edge lines in different areas of your image. Okay, some are more subtle than others, so you can experiment with that. And even though I've called this folder black edge lines, you can actually apply any color to these edge lines. So for example, I'll just turn on number 6. So all you need to do is double click on the layer and tick this one, color overlay, and you can pick any color that you like. So you can be creative in that way as well. Cancel that. Alright, next folder up, I'll just turn off, I forgot to turn these ones off. So the next folder up is a really handy folder. It's called Area Brightness Levels. So I'll turn that on, right, and go inside here. So again, I've got this structured where the top one will target the brighter areas of your photo, your highlights, all the way down to the darker areas, your shadows. And what you can do is, so let's target this one here. You can double click on this layer and you can actually control the brightness of different sections of your photo. So if you wanted to make, you know, the shadows darker, I can drag this to the right and make it as dark as you want. Okay, and you can do the same for, you know, the highlights. You can make the highlights darker, so you can see that's just sort of crushing the brightness of that texture there. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Moving on up here, we've got these three layers, so I'll turn those on. And these are similar to the area's brightness levels. So this one here is control shadow brightness. This is another way you can control the shadows. So you can just use that one. This is more of like an overall adjustment to the shadows, whereas if I go inside here and if you click Alt on these masks, you can take a look at them. So, whoops. So if I just go back in again, so you can see that they're the areas that it's targeting, whereas this one here, it's targeting, so it's basically a snapshot of the original photo, and anywhere in white is where it's going to target, anywhere in black it's not going to target because it's a mask. So I use this one to affect the overall shadow area of your photo, and these ones more specific levels. This one here, control shadow brightness 2. So I've gone inside this mask. This will target really the darkest area of your photo. So double click on this one. Might not be overly evident on this photo. Let's have a look. So you can see just in amongst her hair here, it's just targeting that area. So that can help bring out a bit more definition in your subject. Alright, moving up. This folder here, this layer here called toning. Actually, before I talk about this layer, we'll jump back down to this one here, control highlights brightness, because that's quite an important layer. So if you double click on this one, so this controls the brightness of the highlights in your photo, and by default I've actually increased it. So if I just reset this, you'll notice that the textures in the lighter areas of your photo are quite dark, but if you drag this to the right, this will then brighten up those sections so it matches more closely the original toning of your photo. Alright, so that's just a quick way, to match your photo's original toning, is to use this slider. Alright, I'll leave that there. Alright, let's jump back to toning. So if you double click on this one, this is just a curves adjustment layer. So the way that this works is that this bottom left hand corner are your shadows, and up the top right here are your highlights. So if I wanted to say boost the brightness of the shadow area, I can just drag this up, right? But you'll notice that I put a point here which kind of acts like a clamp. So if I remove that, drag that off, it's going to affect a broader area. So if I put that clamp back and drag this down, it sort of restricts that zone a bit more. So by default, it was somewhere around here. You can add points to these just by clicking on them. You can drag to remove it, just click on it and flick it off. So this middle region are your midtones, so you can adjust this to your liking. So play around with that one. This one here, overall color tints. So you can click on this one and apply sort of a general tint to your image. Overall brightness, if you want to affect the overall brightness of your design, just double click on this one and adjust these handles here. White edge lines, turn this folder on. Now by default, so what I might do here to make this a bit more evident, I'm just going to create a new layer above the overall brightness here, and I'm going to fill this black. So to quickly fill a layer with your foreground color, you just hold down Alt for backspace, so that will then fill the layer with black. So what you can see here is that this layer here, so this is the one that's on by default after you've run the action, style number 3. So these other styles here, you can see those there, but it really depends on your photo. In some photos, these two layers might be a lot more evident, but so this is what's going on here. So I will hide that. Actually, I might delete that. Alright, this last one, actually, let's delete that one. Alright, this top layer here, paper texture overlay. So by default, this is on, and if I zoom all the way in here, and I flip this on and off, so you can see that's applying just an overall paper texture over your design. And this does darken your image a little bit, so just be aware of that. The opacity is at 100%, so you can just use a little bit of it if you want, or just turn it off if you don't want it at all. Alright, heading back down to the bottom here. So we have this folder here called Pattern Area Edge Lines. So I'll turn that on, and you should immediately see what that does. So if you grab this mask here, hit V, that'll activate the move tool, and if you move that mask around, you can actually reposition these lines just like that, which is pretty cool. And again, you can just brush away any lines that you don't want. So if you go inside this folder, so we have, again, a similar structure of our highlights moving down to the shadows. Okay, so if you don't want, say, these ones here in the highlights area, you can just turn them off. Okay, and these correspond to the same areas as the light area sketch patterns. So, for example, so you can see pattern area 1 is our highlights over here, and you see the edge lines the edge lines sort of wrap around that zone there. Okay. Down the bottom here, base color. If you turn that on, so by default this is on, and that's the color that it's set to. Now the way that you use this is that it's more so to use for black and white values. I mean, you can use it to add color, right? And you can see that everything else. So you can see the white highlights, sort of how they come through. But you'll notice that if I bring this up to pure white, and as I drag it down along the side here and make this darker, it starts to match more closely the original toning of the photo. So if I bring this to the top, and I'll slowly bring it down again, you can see how that's working. So by default, it's just set to a very subtle grey, which just sort of, brings through some of the original toning of your image. But if you don't want any of that, just drag it all the way up, okay? If you've done that, you might just need to experiment with adjusting some of these toning controllers here. So if it's too bright, you might want to turn that one off, or control the shadows and highlights with that. So before we talk about color, let's design this image up a bit. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And firstly, I only really want her head to be the focal point in this image. So I want to remove basically all these details down the bottom here. So let's start off with the light area sketch pattern. So I'm going to select the mask. I'm going to hit B, and let's just use this brush here. Make sure black is my active color, because we want to remove what's inside this folder. So X, make sure that'll flip black to active, and I'm going to start brushing these away, these details down here away. Okay, and I'm going to do the same for the edge lines here. I'm just going to brush them away. And the shadows, do the same. Alright, I'm going to move a bit more of these edge lines here. And I might actually switch this brush now to this one for the hair. For the shadows, I'm going to just brush a little bit back. Alright, that'll do. Next, I might actually move this pattern through that section. So let's go into the light area sketch patterns. And I think it's this one here. Let's check. Yeah, let's remove that. And let's remove a bit more of this texture down the bottom here. So B, and brush onto the mask here. Alright, let's check out the shadow layers here. Let's just turn some of these off to see if we need them. I think it's all looking pretty good. What I might do, I might remove some of this sort of edge detail from this layer. So I'm going to select the mask, hit B, make sure black is active, and then sort of brush away those details. I'm going to remove this. and move that there as well. Alright, next let's talk about a few different ways we can apply colour. So firstly, I'm just going to collapse all these folders. So if you just hold down Control, Alt or Command Option and click on any one of these arrows next to the folder, it'll collapse things. So let's open the Actions panel, and we have this action here called Create Color Reveal Layer. So I'll zoom out a bit here. So if you just select that and press play, it'll only take a second or two. It will create an empty layer at the top here called Brush Color, and I've got in brackets, press Y for Art History Brush. So first I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom here above the base color layer, because basically I want all these adjustments to affect the color that we apply here, and I want all the textures to sit on top of it as well. So the way this works is that if you press Y, okay, now for this to work you must have the color reveal brushes loaded. Okay, these brushes are art history brushes, so they're specifically for this action and specifically for this method of revealing color on your photo. So let's just use this brush for the moment. And so the way this works is that wherever you click, it's going to sample color from that area and apply it. So you can see as I click around there, it applies color, which is really cool. Now, if you decrease the size of your brush, so if you use the left and right square brackets, you can adjust the size of the brush there. You can set it there. So the smaller you make it, so if I want it to match the colors more closely in this area, you want to make a smaller brush. So you can see that now the colors are matching the original a lot closer. So the bigger you make it, it'll just sample one color from that region and just apply that. So I recommend sort of the areas with less detail, so you see like a forehead and down here, maybe you use a larger brush like that, and you know, for the real focal points you want to use a real small brush and get in on those details, but that's totally up to you how you want to do it. You can also, you can adjust the opacity of this of the color if it's too strong. If you want to brush over a few different layers, you can just select this and hit Control or Command J. That'll duplicate it. And if you want to delete it all, just hit Control or Command A, select all, then just hit delete. Okay, so I've deleted everything off of that layer. Now I can use a different brush if I want. So I'll select this layer, hit Y again, and let's just say I want to add a few of these paint splatters. So select that, use a small brush, and I can just, as I'm brushing, I've always got my fingers on Control Z, so basically to undo. So if I don't like that, I can quickly undo it, and you'll notice each time you apply the brush rotates some more. So it might take a few clicks to get something that you like, but just experiment. Change the size of the brush, left and right square brackets. Alright, maybe one more there. Alright, so that's looking pretty cool. Now, just be aware that if you save this file, then close it and reopen it, you might need to run this action again. So if you want to continue to apply different color layers, you can play this again. But when you play it again, you might get this message show up here. It basically asks you to confirm these details. Just click OK, and it'll say, do you want to replace snapshot reveal color? Just click yes. Alright, and then it creates another layer at the top here, so you can press Y and then start painting on that layer again. So one thing to be aware of when you're painting on color using the watercolor textures, so I'll just turn this back up to 100%. So let's just say that you've revealed too much texture over here and you want to mask it out. So you can select the mask, and this is why I specifically created a set of mask brushes, because you can see here at the end here I've got some watercolor brushes. So these would be suitable to erase the edge of these watercolor textures. A round brush wouldn't do it. So if you're brushing on with watercolor textures and you want to mask it out, just select one of these, okay, and you can now just start brushing black on the mask to hide it, and you can see how it creates much more of a organic look to the edges of where you're masking away. Okay, So another way to reveal color, so I'll just hide these two for the moment, is if you select your photo layer and duplicate it, Control or Command J, you can move this to the top of the layer order. So to do that with it, you can either drag it up like that, or you can press Control Shift right square bracket, okay, and that will move it all the way up to the top. Okay, and then you can just set the blend mode to color. All right, so that will create that type of look. Now, another more advanced method you could try is, let's just duplicate this again and bring it up to the top. Is what I'm going to do is apply a mask. So press this button here, and what I'm aiming to do here is anywhere where there's a black texture, so our sketch texture, I want to replace the black with the color of our photo. So to do that, what I need to do is basically create a snapshot of everything that I see here and put it onto the mask. Right? So to do that, I will firstly hide the layer. I've applied the mask. I'll select the mask. You want to go to Image, Apply Image, and I'll click OK. Now, if I hold down Alt and click on the mask, you'll see that the mask is just basically everything that we saw, our total design, it's put onto the mask. Now, if I now turn this layer on, right, you'll see that that doesn't look right at all. Okay, so if I click on the mask again, it's because, remember that the way that masks work is that everywhere in black it's going to hide and white it's going to reveal. So that's why you can see the black lines, it's hiding that and it's basically revealing everything else. So if I select this mask now and hit Control Command I to invert it, now the color is being applied to our texture, right? Now, what you could also do is experiment with, making the textures a bit brighter. So if I just hold down Control Alt L or Command Option L, I can, I'll reset this. So to reset your levels, you just hold down Alt and then click Reset. So I could drag this up, so sort of make this all brighter, and just add a lot more contrast to this. So now the color should pop a lot more because basically I've made these lines a lot wider. Click OK. And there we go. So that's another way you can reveal color. But for now, let's just delete that and we'll continue to use our watercolor. I'll just lower the opacity of this down a bit. Alright, looking good. So next, let's apply some technical drawing brushes to this design. So let's just create a new layer. We'll just create it anywhere. Let's put it at the top for the moment. So Control Shift N or Command Shift N to create a new layer. I'll just call this brush 1. Okay. So let's hit B. Now these two, collapse those. It's got these two folders here. Design brushes set 1 and set 2. So if you go inside these folders, I've created a lot of different sort of technical drawing brushes which you can just click on. They're all high resolution, so you can see a lot of these are 5,000 pixels, so you can just click on any one of these. So let's click on this one. Okay, click away from the brush panel, so you can see the brush there. Now to decrease the brush size again, you use the left and right square brackets. So then let's just apply it anywhere, so just click and that will apply the brush. So since we put it on a new layer, we can just move this around, get rid of those guides. So I move those around. If I zoom out a bit here, hit Control or Command T, you can then rotate the brush any way you want. Okay, so let's just try and design this up a bit. So let's just say I only want to keep these lines down the bottom here. So to create a negative mask, you hold down Alt while clicking on the mask icon here, and basically that will hide everything. It'll apply a black mask. So now we need a brush on white to reveal it. So I'll hit B, right? I'll jump back into my mask, reveal textures, and with white, hit X. I'll just brush that texture back on here. Okay, now you can, let's see what happens when I move this down the bottom here. Okay, so now it's more influenced by our light and adjustment layers here, so probably better to leave it down the bottom here. and we can lower the opacity down if we want, if it's too strong. And so if you want to continue to apply different brushes, just create new layers. So Control Shift N or Command Shift N, create another layer. I'll just call this one brush 2. Hit B, let's jump back inside these folders again, and let's just pick another texture. So let's go with this one here, and decrease the size of that. Alright, let's move this around and see where it might work. That looks kind of cool, this section here. So I'm going to apply a negative mask again, hold down Alt, click on that, hit B, grab my my mask reveal brush here, and let's brush white to reveal that section. Probably lower the opacity down a bit. I'm just doing this really quick, but you can spend a lot more time positioning these. Create another layer. Let's check out another one. Maybe let's check out this one here. Right, let's apply that, and maybe something like that. I'll just use that entire brush, just lower the opacity down. And let's just try one more. Let's try position something over there. Create another layer. Let's just, maybe this one. Whoops, recently. Let's apply that. Might rotate this around. Maybe like that. I'll create a negative mask again. And this. Alright, that'll do. I'll just lower this down a bit. Alright, now what I might do is I might jump back inside the area brightness levels, and let's try just these again. So now you can see that actually it also is influencing our watercolor texture, which is really cool. So you can see that edge there. So let's try this one. A bit brighter. Let's try this. I don't know. Next, let's talk about how we can apply a shadow overlay to our design. So I'm just going to head to the top here. On the top layer, I'm going to select that. Now you go to File, Place Embedded. Now if you navigate in a download to the folder Shadow Overlays, double click on that, you'll see that there's a bunch of different shadow textures that we can import. So let's just use this one here, Shadow 60. I'll double click on that, and you'll see that it comes into our design. Now it's got this bounding box around our graphic, so that's basically asking us to confirm the placement. But before we do that, I want to scale this up. So if you hold down Alt while clicking and dragging on these corners, it'll scale uniformly, and I'm going to scale that over our design. Hit Enter to confirm that, and I'll just move that around a bit. So yeah, very simple. If you wanted to make the shadow darker, you can hit Control or Command J. That'll basically duplicate it. You can, of course, if I zoom out, hit Control or Command T and rotate it. You might need to scale it up a bit more. And you can also, combine them as well. So just to say I wanted to add this one in here as well, I can add that. Okay. Totally up to you. Next, what I might do is experiment a bit more with adding some more white highlights into the design. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into the black edge lines folder, and what I might do here, I'm just going to double click on one of these layers, and I'm going to color overlay, and I'm going to put this to white. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this layer style. So I'm going to copy this, copy layer style, and then I'm going to shift select all these layers. I'm going to right click and go paste layer style. So basically I've added a white color overlay to all these layers. I'm going to hold down Control Alt or Command Option, click on this arrow, collapse all those. Now when I turn these on one by one, I can see that where it's applying a white outline. So all I'm doing here is checking if there's an area that I think could be added. And I think it's looking I think this one's pretty cool. I might just brush away a bit on the lips here, just add a little bit of extra detail around here. Alright, that'll do. Alright, some final adjustments. I might use the camera raw filter to experiment a bit more with applying a bit of sharpening and adjusting the brightness and so the shadow and highlight levels. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a snapshot of our entire design, put on one layer. So to do that, you hold down Control Shift Alt E, Command Shift Option E. So now what you can see, it's put everything that we see onto one layer here. So I can move that around. See that? I'm going to right click and convert this to a smart object. This is going to allow me to make changes to what I apply next if I need to do so. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. I'm going to zoom in here, Control Plus. So there's a bunch of different things you can do inside the Camera Raw filter. You can play around with color options. You can adjust the highlights, so I can target just the highlights, make them a bit brighter. Shadows, I can control those. The whites, blacks. If I want to add a bit of clarity to this, I can just drag this to the right a bit, add a little bit of sharpening. Also, I like to click on this one here, the presets, and there's a bunch of presets in here. You can sort of scroll down through here and see if there's any one of these that you like. Some black and white contrast presets there. I'm just going to add a little bit of light sharpening to that. Click OK. Alright, so very subtle, but just add a little bit of sharpening. So if I wanted to go inside this camera raw filter and adjust these settings again, I can just double click on camera raw filter and play around with the settings. Okay, that'll do for this example. So I'm just going to zoom out and just show you the before and after. So I'm just going to collapse this. I'll just shift select all these, group them, turn this on and off. So there's before and there's the after. Alright, let's move on to the second example. Okay, so this time we're going to use an image with a transparent background. So firstly, I need to cut my subject out. And I think the easiest way I'm going to achieve that is by going to select subject. So this is a new feature to Photoshop. So since my subject's against a solid white background, it should do a good job of this. So just go select subject and let's see what happens. Okay, now if you want to check your selection, you can go to select a mask, and I think that looks pretty good for this example. So I'm going to hit escape. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Control or Command J to duplicate that selection off of my background photo. And then I'm going to delete the background. Now it's very important that you only have one layer when using this action. So don't go ahead and create a bunch of adjustment layers above your photo layer, otherwise the action is going to run into errors. Next, what I might do is I'm just going to check the size of this image. So image size 4500, that's good. So just remember that if you've opened up a low resolution image, so say for example it's like 2000, take the longest length and increase that to anywhere between say 4000 or 5000. So 4500 will do. Click OK. Alright, again just make sure that your patterns are loaded into Photoshop before pressing play. Let's select the action and click play. Alright, I'll fast forward to the result. Alright, so I'm going to collapse the actions panel and collapse all these folders. So the one thing you notice that when you use a transparent image, that it applies a mask to the entire drawing folder, which means you can use this background color layer here to change the background color. Okay? Alright, so let's just experiment here and see what we can come up with. Firstly, I might change the color of this. Let's go pure white, and let's jump inside the shadow area sketch folder, and let's just turn some of these off and see what we can come up with. So I think that looks pretty cool, but I might just brush this layer on an area. So I'm going to invert that mask, Control Command I, hit B, and if you hold down Shift while clicking on the mask, it temporarily disables it, so you can have a look around, and then when you click on it again, it releases it. So I'm just looking at any areas where I might want to keep that darker texture. So let's just just brush on those areas. Let's try replace this pattern here. So I'm going to double click on this, go to pattern overlay, and let's just maybe more of this crosshatch look. Click OK there. Alright, let's turn this one on, see how that looks. Probably a bit too strong. I might just brush on where I want this layer to appear. So I'm going to select that mask again and invert it, hit B, and let's take a look around. So I might just brush it on up here. And leave that how it is. Next, let's take a look at some of these black edge lines. See if we can add any of these. I'll keep that one on. Brush some of that away. Actually, which one? I think that's fine. Let's take a look at these brightness area controllers. Oops, grab this one. I think I like that a bit. Let's try this one here. It's looking good. Let's try maybe decrease the space between these textures. See if we can do that. So we'll go down into the light area sketch patterns, and let's just turn these layers on and off and see which one that is. So I'll actually turn this one off. Well, actually, no, I'll mask this little line away there. So which layer is it? So it's this one here. So I can just double click on this and adjust this scale here. So, like that. Okay. I might duplicate that, make it a bit, no, undo that. Alright, zoom out. So what I might do next is brush on some extra sketch patterns around the edge here. So because we're brushing outside of our cutout subject, I need to create this layer outside of the folder. If I create it inside the folder, it's going to be restricted to the area of our subject. So I'm going to just create a new layer, Control Shift N or Command Shift N, hit B, excuse me. I'm going to just hit X, flick that to white. So I'm going to work on creating some lines here, maybe a few more around here, and maybe a little bit here and here. So remember, you've got to set the fill to 0, so that hides it. Double click on it, pattern overlay, and just go to this larger texture and scale this down a bit. Click OK. I might just brush on a little bit more around here. Now I'm going to apply a mask and just erase. Oh no, I think it's erase a little bit there. Okay, that'll do. So next, let's take a look at these white edge lines. See how this one's influencing things. I think that's good. Keep that one on. And I'll just turn that one on. Alright, next, let's see what toning's doing. Generally, I just like to click, turn a layer on and off to see its influence on the design. I think that's all looking good. So next, let's work on applying a bit of color. Alright, I'm going to open the Actions panel and play the Create Color Reveal Layer action. Press play on that, and hide that. I'm just going to collapse all these folders and move this down to the bottom here. So now I'm going to press Y, and I'm going to jump into the Color Reveal brushes here, and let's just use, let's try this one. And again, I might move this outside of the drawing folder. The shortcut key to move layers up and down like this is Control or Command left and right square brackets. So Control left square bracket, move that down, I'll move it outside of the folder here. What I might actually do is I might turn off the base color layer. So then, because that's blocking this texture from being are revealed inside of the subject as well. So I'm just going to have that and just keep sort of clicking away here and see what we can come up with. So I'm just going to lower the opacity and I'm going to duplicate this layer, Control or Command J, select all, Control A, delete. So I might choose another texture, maybe this one here. And I might duplicate the layer again, create another texture. Let's go back to this one. I'm going to lower my brush size here so we can reveal some of these finer details. Lower this opacity down. I might check these shadow brightness controls. See, that's darkening that. No, that's okay. Check some of these. Alright, what I might preview is moving these to the top, see how this looks. Oops, sorry, outside of the drawing folder. No, I might keep this below. I might turn off this, see how that looks. Might just brush away some of these white highlights here. Maybe a little bit too strong. Alright, duplicate this one. Might duplicate it a few times, make that a bit more prominent. I might group those, so Shift, Select, Control, Command G. And I'm going to apply a mask and brush away. There's a bit too much on his head there. Next, what I might do is brush away some of this color from outside of the subject. So I'm going to Shift select my color layers here, and I'm going to just apply a mask, grab my brush, and I might select, say, this one here. Grab the wrong one, into my mask reveal brushes, and I'll grab this one. Sort of brush away some of these details I don't want. Okay, it's looking good. Now I might apply some technical drawing brushes. So I'm going to just create a new empty layer down the bottom here. Hit B and jump inside this folder. Now I might grab this one here. This is quite a big design, this one. So I'm just going to place that there. And probably a little bit too overkill, but let's use it anyway. So I'm just going to lower this opacity right down. Let's create another layer. And let's grab another brush. Let's try this one. Apply that. And I might just use these two lines here and this section here. So I'm going to apply a negative mask. So hold down Alt while clicking on the mask, create a black mask, hit B. I'm going to grab my mask reveal brush here, and I'm going to hold down Shift to quickly preview where those lines were. So they're in this area here. So brush those on, and there's a little bit here as well. That'll do. So I'm going to create another layer, and let's look for a circular brush here. So let's just go to this one. And I'm going to use the left square bracket to just decrease the size of my brush. And put that there. Create another layer. Let's grab another. Let's grab this one. And let's put this on his knee. Move that there. And I think that's looking good. I might create a hue and saturation adjustment layer here and increase the saturation, sort of bring out those reds a bit more. let's turn off this paper texture. No, we'll leave it on. Alright, I might apply the shadow overlay. So to do that, I'm going to make sure the top layer is selected and go to File, Place Embedded, and into the Shadow Overlay folder. Let's just pick Shadow 11 and hold down Alt while clicking and dragging on these corners, scale uniformly, drag that up, and that is looking good. And I think this is actually done. So let's compare this against the original. So I'm just going to collapse everything here, shift select all my layers, Control Command G to group. So there's the before and there's the after. Alright guys, so that covers pretty much everything. Now just remember, the trick to this action really is experimenting with the layers and the folders. Take advantage of, you know, using layer masks to make certain textures appear where you want them to. You know, reduce a lot of detail in areas where there's not much focal point in your photo. And, you know, the more time you spend playing around with the layers, the better your result will be. You know, I only spent, what, probably 10 minutes playing around with this action, and with this photo, and, you know, I didn't rehearse this. I was just sort of doing everything on the fly. So more time you spend, the better your result will be. But yeah, I hope you enjoy using the effect and come up with some really cool results. Thanks.